What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today we are going to be talking about the brand new Super Evolution arriving on One Piece Treasure Cruise Global, which is one that many people have been waiting for. Version 2 Rayleigh finally becomes a 6+ character. This is exciting, dude. This character is pretty good. So in this video today, we're going to be going through his abilities, and more importantly, his Pirate Rumble abilities. And also, before we get into that, we're going to talk about the Sugarfest steps and determine whether or not you should even do pulls on it to begin with. So let's just jump into it, right? So this Sugarfest is going to be debuting on the 30th of November at 1900 PST time. So it's going to be a couple of days after the Smoker and Sugar Sugarfest debut, so just keep that in mind. It's not going to be debuting at the same time, but, you know, just a couple days after, you're going to get access to this, which is great. So the Sugarfest here, you can see, is kind of crazy. You got 30 gem multi on the first step, the second multi is a rate boosted character, and then you're guaranteed to get the fully super evolved version of V2 Rayleigh on the third multi. So if you don't have V2 Rayleigh, is it worth pulling? Doing the 3 multis to get him, which will cost you 130 gems? Do I think it's good? Honestly, I think if you're a free-to-play player, no, you don't need V2 Rayleigh. If you're a free-to-play player, typically you're not going to be spending gems on Pirate Rumble, which means you probably don't need the character. However, if you are a player that spends money on the game, if you're a player that likes Pirate Rumble a lot, and you're spending gems to rank up quite highly, and you don't have this Rayleigh, I would probably consider it, maybe, but it is up to you at the end of the day. Plus, we do know there's lots of really good Sugarfest coming soon, so I don't really know if it's like the best idea to just spend every single gem you have, or spend 130 of your gems to get just specifically this character. But let's talk about why this character is considered to be one of the coolest characters in the game, specifically for Pirate Rumble. So let's jump into it. So let's go through his actual effects, because I'm sure that's going to be a thing that a lot of people want to know, right? So first of all, the thing about this character that you have to know is that he does have a limit break expansion that does give him a better captain effect, and I will talk about that in a little bit once we go through his just the rest of his abilities first. So this Rayleigh right here, when he super evolves, he still maintains his Dex, Cerebral, Free Spirit classes and typing, so they do not change at all. But his captain effect does slightly change, so it reduces all special charge time by 1 turn at the start of the fight. You get a 2.75 times attack boost and a 1.25 times HP and recovery boost to all characters. It's a rainbow captain. And then when your HP is below 30%, your attack boost is multiplied by a further 1.45, greatly increases the chances of landing on a matching slot when your HP is low as well. So if I pull up the calculator real quick, 2.75 times 1.45 gives you a 3.98 multiplier. It's nearly a 4 times captain when you have below 30%. But outside of that, it's only a 2.75 captain. So obviously that's quite a big downfall there. But you do have to see that the other things there, when you are below that threshold, lots of matching orbs, and also 1.25 HP and recovery all the time. A lot of people disregard a 1.25 recovery boost. That's pretty significant. If you do get a recovery slot, you're healing for a really good amount. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you're healing for, like, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 per recovery orb. It'd be something crazy like that. So, look, Rayleigh, look, at bare minimum, he's an okay captain. But when you do give him the expansion, if we go to the other info, which has him completely maxed out, these are his stats completely maxed out as well. So across the board, his stats are great. Now, when you expand his limit break, this is his captain effect. It's -2 cooldown at the start of the fight, which obviously is fantastic. And it's a 3 times base captain. The HP and recovery boost are still the same, but then if you're below that 30% threshold, it becomes a 1.5 boost instead, and you still get more chances of a matching slot. So now it's a 3 times captain, multiplied by 1.5 below 30%, which is a 4.5 captain. So that obviously is a little bit more enticing, but remember, to limit break expand a Sugarfest exclusive, the amount of materials you need to do that is quite absurd. So I think people are probably still going to do it just because Rayleigh's going to be quite a popular character moving forward into Pirate Rumble. And obviously, if you're expanding the character's limit break in Pirate Rumble, they get the enhanced stats, which obviously makes a big difference. But, you know, do I think he's going to be worth limit break expanding just generically for just generic content for his captain effect? No, I don't think so. Personally speaking, I probably am not going to expand the limit break of this Rayleigh, unless if I legit don't have anything else to do, if I've just got excess materials lying around. But there's still other characters I would prefer to do. I'd prefer to even limit break expand Legend Bullet, for example, over V2 Rayleigh, just because of his enhanced stats and his minus cooldown. I feel like that's a little bit more valuable, but it is your decision at the end of the day. You're not really losing out on much if you do decide to limit break expand this character, because this character is still really good. Let's move on to his special though. His special ability on a 12 turn max cooldown, actually I don't remember if he actually gets cooldown from like his 6+ or his limit break expansion. Let me try and find my V2 Rayleigh real quick. Should be here somewhere. There he is. So he's on a 14 turn cooldown, and if I go to his limit break, I don't actually know. Does he get cooldown? I'd assume he does. Yeah, he does, and it gets how much? -2. Okay, yeah. So he doesn't get any cooldown from his actual from his super evolution. He only gets the cooldown from his expansion. Okay, but if we have a look really quick at what his special does. His special ability on a 12 turn cooldown deals 200,000 fixed damage to one enemy and ignores all defensive effects, which is great. It would have been nice if it was AoE 200,000 fixed damage, but it is what it is. Then he gives you a 3 times chain lock for 1 turn, and then doubles your crew slot effects for 1 turn. So 3 times chain, 2 times orbs. You're getting that no matter what. But then it says if your HP is below 50% when you launch the special, you will get a 95% damage reduction for 1 turn, and then changes empty block, tandem, and recovery slots to matching. That is pretty good, and that is a much better special compared to what his current one is. Before he super evolves, you have to be below 30% to get those additional effects of the damage reduction and the orb manipulation, and now it's just below 50%. Another thing that's changed from his 6-star version to his 6-star plus is that previously he was a 3 times chain lock and a 1.75 orb boost. Now he's a 3 times chain lock and a 2 times orb boost. So just enhancing the multiplier of that slot effect, and then enabling you to get those other effects of damage reduction and orb manipulation much easier with this character. So across the board, he is a much better character comparing to his regular 6-star form. But obviously, those are not the main reasons as to why you would go ahead and super evolve this character. Obviously, the enhanced stats, the better special, the better captain effect are all huge things. Huge factors as to why you do that. However, the really big thing is his Pirate Rumble stats. These are the things why people want this character so goddamn badly. So let's go ahead and talk about why this character is so good. So his special ability on a 45 CT is quite expensive, I'll admit, but let's see what it does. At max level, targets enemies in a large range for 1700 fixed damage, targets your entire team for level 5 attack up and level 5 defense for 15 seconds. That is pretty good. Now remember, 45 CT is very high, so by the time you launch this, it's going to be at least like halfway through the match, and then if you're at that time, you're getting a really good amount of fixed damage to a large range, which is fantastic, obviously, and you're also giving your team an attack and defensive buff, which is quite nice, because there are certain characters that, give you a really good defensive buff at the start, and then, once half the match is gone, you lose out on some of that. Or you can stack this with other defensive effects, like Shank's crew, right? Shank's crew, after the first 30 seconds have expired, then he gives you a huge defense boost, and then if you have this on top of that, like, your characters will just get huge amounts of defense, and that's a really nice combination between the two, because Shanks is also a health cutter, so Shanks can health cut. He's got a much lower CT than Rayleigh. You could probably get two special launches of Shanks crew before you can get a special launch of this guy, so a few health cuts, then fixed damage, like really good combinations working there. So then talking about his passive ability when it's completely maxed out, your entire team just gets level 5 HP. That's freaking awesome. If his HP is below 60%, your entire team gets level 5 defense and also level 5 guard percent up. Amazing. Like, this character is just a fantastic unit. Like, that passive of HP and defensive boost is so strong. We all know currently in the meta, the Int team is the best team right now, and I don't think it really comes close. The Int team is definitely the best team in Pirate Rumble right now. And the main reason why they are so good is because they have access to V1 Doflamingo, who has that amazing passive of boosting HP and defense, and also attack as well. But obviously, they don't all work at the same time. There's like certain time restrictions on some of them, but that's the main component of those characters as to why they're so good, is because they have amazing passives that can boost HP and defense, and those are the best stats right now. Like, obviously leveling your attack is quite important because it means character specials that do multipliers, they are enhanced by a pretty big margin. But if you've got a bunch of characters that just do health cuts and fixed damage, you don't really need to worry about your attack. You're just doing health cuts and fixed damage. It doesn't matter what your attack is at all. But if you've got massive amounts of HP and defense, you can tank more hits, obviously, and if you're tanking more hits, you have a higher chance of launching your specials to take out the enemy. So having a passive ability that can just work on any unit, he's not restricted to the Dex typing or Free Spirit or Cerebral, he works on any team, which is great. And this is going to be moving into now the meta of Rainbow style teams that don't really work too cohesively in generic content, but then when you put them in Pirate Rumble, they just work together very well because they have amazing passives that can just boost a lot of different characters, right? And V2 Rayleigh is one of those guys. Also, he gives himself self-healing with his behavior pattern, which is interesting. He doesn't do much damage with his normal attacks, so you do have to keep that in mind. And then he targets the closest enemy, which is, again, that's whatever. An 80% chance to evade action bind, which is one of the most annoying things in the game, having to deal with version 1 Kuzan. When you just fight him and he just action binds like your whole team for like, what is it, like 5 seconds, whatever it is, it's the worst thing ever because you can't do anything. This guy has a really good chance of evading that, which is great. Always nice to see. So there you go. That's V2 Rayleigh. And look, these stats right here are without cotton candy. So if you've been leveling up your cotton candy totems on the facilities, fantastic, because you can give him even more cotton candy, so that's great. His support effect does not change at all. It's still 9% base stat total and 5% damage reduction to Dex characters, which is nice. But overall, dude, V2 Rayleigh is one of the better super evolutions that we're going to be seeing over the next couple of months. So if you have the ability to do so, make sure to go ahead and super evolve him. What does he actually need? I think it's probably 1 green skull, right? Yeah, just 1 green skull. So there you go. Those are the only materials that you'll need. Obviously, if you don't have a green skull, you have to farm the ambush quests, or if you've got enough Rayleigh points, you can go to the Rayleigh's Bazaar and purchase them. I think they're like 10,000 points per skull, which is quite excessive, but V2 Rayleigh is a good super evolution. But look, if you're still missing some of the other super evolutions like Snake Man or Bullet, I mean, Bullet's got farmable skulls anyway, but there are a couple of good super evolutions still out there. Like it really depends on what characters you still have to do, but I do think that if you do have the free Dex skull lying around, I mean, like Corazon is another good one if you haven't super evolved him yet. Who else is probably worth super evolving? That's probably it, I guess, for Dex skulls that are like super worth it. Corazon is probably the only one that's like, yes, you must do it. But the rest of them are like, you can kind of skip out on it because Nami's got her own skulls you farm. So yeah, Rayleigh is like a high priority Dex unit that you should probably super evolve. But anyways, that is going to wrap up this video. As I said, it's going to be dropping on the 30th of November at 1900 PST time. So make sure you got all your stuff ready for him because he's going to be coming through on Pirate Rumble, that is for sure. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.